Hey everyone, today I want to talk about everyone's favorite topic, taxes. We're here in Texas, property taxes are high. They're higher than most states. Most of you know the benefit of being here is we don't have a state income tax. But the property tax can be incredibly painful, especially over the years that we've had with the property values going up. Property taxes have gotten really, really expensive. Every year I provide information on how to fight taxes. I could provide comps, I do things like that. Well, this year's a little different because it's so dramatic. I decided to do a short video and walk everyone through the things I would advise my past clients or anyone out there that are struggling with what to deal with the property taxes. So there's gonna be three things I'm gonna talk about real quick. One is this day has been anticipated for years. We all know that the prices have been going up. How do I respond? What do I do with CAD, the Central Appraisal District in my county? How do I communicate with them? What do I do? And I'm gonna give you some ways that I can actually specifically help you regardless if you have a relationship with me or not. I've got some things that's gonna help you deal with this. The number one thing is we've seen this coming for a while, right? So we've had 3 years in a row, 10% plus appreciation on all the properties. And now it's time for the government to start collecting their share of these property values that have gone up. And for some of you, it's pretty dramatic. You might have been paying, let's say $6,000 a year in taxes. It goes up to $8,000, $9,000 a year in taxes. That can substantially reduce your debt to income and make it so you don't have much buying power, based on your current mortgage that's come up. Properties that have exceeded, now that we have the appreciation rate the last 2 to 3 years, there's a number of factors that have led to this massive property increase. I do want to kind of cover a little background stuff. So right now we've had low inventory over the last few years. That's been a big problem, and that's used home inventory. Leading up to that, we've had low inventory on new builds. A lot of you are unaware that new builds are running well below what we needed to even supply the current market. With that, both of those things compounding, and then we go into COVID, where people can now live where they want to live, work where they want to work, and they're buying homes. And then on top of that, we had the lowest interest rates in history. I mean, you've had multiple things that have created this buying frenzy over the last 3 years, which is obviously going to explode the property values that we have now. And I've got a lot of people, I know for those that are here in Texas, we know a lot of people are moving here. We have a lot of great qualities about being in Texas, no state income tax, good schools, good standard of living. Our properties are generally pretty low comparatively to equivalent type living places in other states and cities. We generally are friendly people. I mean, that helps as well. We're not all stingy and angry all the time. So that's also a real good thing about Texas. So first thing I want to cover after that was how do we respond to the Central Appraisal District? You need to find your Central Appraisal District that's in your county. You probably got the letter. Most of you are getting the mean letter that says you owe lots of money now. That is your county tax place to go to in order to fight them and be able to make sure we properly apply for exemptions. The very first thing I talk about is make sure we get a homestead exemption, make sure we get an over 65 exemption, make sure we get an agricultural exemptions. Those are minimum. You've got to start with that. The thing that people are feeling pain with is either if they have a secondary home or they bought a home with another relative and now they live here in Texas and the other relative's out of state, they consider that a non-exempt. It's not a homestead exemption. So you have to figure out how to make sure you get a homestead exemption. If you don't have one, then the Central Appraisal District can exceed 10%, which is their cutoff at homestead on the increase in taxes. So if your house is worth $300 and they raise it up to $390 and that increases your taxes 25%, well, that's the starting point before we can start negotiating on the tax value, but you have to cover the difference, and they don't have to cap it at 10%. So make sure you get your homestead. It's the most powerful tax exemption available. Unless you have a specific exemption, you need to be calling skip that. I'll come back to that one. So there's two things. We want to make sure we have exemptions, and the second thing is we want to book an appointment with Central Appraisal District. If you can help it, don't call them, because you're going to be on the phone for several hours. Everybody's getting these letters, and they do have excess people working, but it's not enough. I mean, it's a big deal. They are way behind. They're very, they're trying to help whatever they can, but by the time you get on the call with them, there's really only two things. You can file for exemption online and then schedule an appointment to fight the taxes. That's really the main things you're going to be doing with the Central Appraisal District. All right, so here's some ways that I can actually specifically help you with this. And any realtor that you work with, if someone closed a transaction with you, you're going to want to reach out for them to get some help with this. First thing you're going to want to do is take a picture of any deficiency on the home. It can be a cracked driveway, it could be foundation cracks in the home, it could be things are not updated, it could be your next door neighbor has got 6 cars out front. Whatever it is that would draw negative value to your property, we're gonna make sure we capture it, or maybe you back up to a busy road, or you've got power lines in your backyard. All these type of things, they take in consideration when coming up with the value of your property. They will have adjustments made for these type of things. And the most important thing, this is where it's going to really add value for you. Keep in mind that the value that they assessed to your property is based on closings last year. They can't come much more current. So when you walk in, and we all know that it was at the height of the frenzy last summer, and then it dropped off last fall. Even the last 60 days is far less than what the value was last summer. So we want to look at sold homes as soon as we can, as close to your actual date that we're going to go protest, in order to really bring down that value, and that price per square foot should help, because they should be a lot less than they were back in last summer. So we want to look at specific homes last 60, 90 days that have lower price per square foot, that are closer and more equivalent to our property. Those are really good options to be able to help drive down that price, plus the deficiencies. Those two things can really help that conversation with the representative of the tax. If you need specific comps or something, reach out, no problem. I don't mind running the neighborhood, giving you all the properties that sold even the last year, and then you can go through there and pick out properties you want. I'll rerun it and I'll give you just those specific properties. There's some ways that we can kind of work through that. I also have a really clever handoff system that basically tracks your equity and your home value on a number of different algorithms. And I've been using this for the last few years, and man, I tell you, people love it. There's no obligation. All I need is an email and an address. And we set this thing up, and it basically looks at where you're at, and it starts thinking, helping you think about, I could take the equity and I could invest it specifically back into my home, and this would be the return I would get on it. Or it may say, we can take the equity and then go buy an investment property. What would that look like? The $80,000, $90,000 I take out, and then I take out a loan, what would my cash flow look like on that $80,000, $90,000? And it even has rents your house out. It has rent values, and it'll look at the value your house would rent for as in consideration with buying a new property. That way you're starting to build net worth through property ownership. Highly recommend that. It's probably the easiest, cleanest way to build net worth is through real estate. Separate podcast for that. I have a number of podcasts out there for you guys sharing this type of information. It's just my name, Shaune, Shaune, Corbett. Feel free to jump in, take a look at anything I have. I don't charge for anything. Everything's free for you guys. I'm happy to try to help and educate any way I can. And then last thing I've got is I own a number of properties, and I don't have time to go through and fight all the property taxes for each one of my properties. So I use a law firm based in Houston, and they actually will go in and they'll meet with the appraisal district and fight the taxes for me every year, and they're only paid if they win. So it's a real good investment. It helps keep my ceiling as low as possible. So that way, my floor as low as possible, so they can't increase it too much every year. And that's been really, really beneficial to be able to do that. Happy to refer them. I can help you guys with that. Anything else you need, you feel free to reach out to me. Phone number 214-228-0383. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.